Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the finest StarCraft 2 action you will ever see in the history of this sport. Harstem's lost for words, and I don't blame him in the slightest.
Yeah.
After seeing some utterly incredible mental acuity from our players. Now, we make our way into the winner's bracket final, where the quality of the games can only go up from here.
Yeah, that's a true statement for sure. I'm not too sure about the initial statement you started on, so I figured if I don't want to lie, I better just be silent. But definitely it can only go up from here. And I'm actually really looking forward towards this match. Artosis' knowledge of the metagame is extremely high, and YoGo is just such a solid player. So this is, this is the game that I've been looking forward to in this group.
A clash of the Titans, no doubt. And I can't wait. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, on Ascension to Aya, spawning to the northwest position. In the orange trunks, playing Protoss, representing the GSL. In South Korea via way of America, it is Artosis. Versus his opponent to the southeast position. One of 37 French casters invited to this event by Todd. In the blue trunks, playing Zerg, it's O-Gaming's YoGo.
Some of that, the good old French nationalism shining through in the bracket for sure. But
Vive la France!
They've been proving that they're worthy of their spot so far. The Frenchies have been putting in the work, and now they're here to get their rewards as well in this EsportsEarnings Casters Invitational. We saw Coca, Imre, Todd. Am I missing one Frenchie now? No, right? Those are the Frenchies so far that have gone through. Yes.
I believe you may very well be correct. And Artosis out there with a cheeky probe does get seen immediately by YoGo's scouting overlord. To see that kind of old school opening here from Artosis with the gateway expand. The sort of attempt to create a partial wall off in this area. But do you think that's a good move for this particular map in your experience?
Yeah, I think it's fine to open either with Gate Expand or Nexus first on Ascension to Aya. It's such a long map, so some kind of 12 pool is a little bit weaker, but Artosis was just playing it safe, getting the gateway scout after as well. So everything looking fairly standard up until this point from Artosis. Definitely a lot more standard than we've been getting used to in the past 2-3 games from Fear Dragon. And we do see
that is very true, but I have no doubt that Artosis was keenly watching those games with interest, despite the fact that this was cast entirely from replays, and that is entirely impossible. We will maintain the narrative that Artosis has been learning from Senpai and will be, no doubt, springing a few surprises on YoGo right here.
Yeah, and the first surprise that he might show is a Stargate. At a pretty regular timing, so YoGo should be capable of scouting this with the Overlord speed that he seems to like so much. We saw him get it against Fear Dragon as well, and once again against Artosis. Let's get the Overlord speed, just to scout the main base of the Protoss, see what kind of tech they have, maybe how many gateways as well, probe count. You can basically see everything. Nice little scout there, only for 100-100. Artosis, on the other hand, also is being a busy little bee with his first adept. Scouted out the third base, tried to do some damage on the natural, but didn't really manage to get in with the adept. Is probably pretty happy to see a third base, no kind of two-base shenanigans coming from YoGo here.
No, YoGo, I gotta say, love just how on point he is with the scouting, getting that Overlord speed really quickly and just saying, I want to know everything you're doing at all times.
Yeah, but there's one downside, of course, for this Overlord speed. If you take a look at the income tab right now, or just the unit tab, take a look at the worker count.
Drone count is kind of disgustingly low here for YoGo, especially on 3 bases. You don't expect to see the Protoss ahead in probe count by this point. So that knowledge may not end up being useful. He did scout the Stargate. The question is, does he have the means to get rid of it? He does only have 3 queens. A nice elimination of the lava right there by Artosis. And going to pick off the creep tumor as well, which is going to be inordinately infuriating for YoGo.
Yeah, and at the same time, YoGo was trying to start some kind of Zergling drop, but the Overlord that was morphing immediately got found by the Phoenix that Artosis Chrono boosted. So Artosis is having quite a good game so far. 4 adepts out right now for him, so should be able to secure his 3rd base location with that, get that Nexus going, and I'm curious what kind of tech we're going to see from him.
That's going to sting YoGo with the just temporary supply block as a result of that Phoenix going out right there, and the speed not really helping because those Phoenixes are going to be on top of you regardless of what you do. And you've just seen sort of another disadvantage being super active with those Overlords to scout. They were put in vulnerable positions, and now they're getting picked off. That Phoenix has paid for itself several times over at this point. In comes the Oracle, trying to do a little bit of damage, gets 3 kills, gets out, drops the least effective revelation in history, that single queen, extremely upset about being spied on. But in the meantime, we have an attempt to macro up here from YoGo, trying to get his lair up, and lots of tech on the way here for Artosis.
Yeah, Artosis going for the pretty standard setup, most likely going to be charge, +1, and either a Prism or an Immortal. Prism, of course, get some kind of map control, keep the Zerg at home. That's really where you want the Zerg to be in this matchup these days. You don't want them in your base, you want them to be in their own base, and a Prism is a very good tool for that. And he does start with a Prism, Artosis, so very solid build order so far. I'm actually really liking Artosis' play.
Yeah, this is actually really slick stuff, honestly, from Artosis up to this point. No mistakes made, really, really solid. And what we're seeing is Baneling Hydra, which is something that we've been seeing from a few pro Zerg players as of late.
Yeah, a few. To change that to all, and I think that might be a correct statement. But Artosis seems to know what he will be going up against. Is getting the Templar Archives, has a nice little gas bank. Well, has quite a decent gas bank already. So once that Templar Archives finishes, he should be able to warp in either a couple of Archons or immediately get Storm with a couple of Templars. I'm digging Artosis' position and the way he's approaching this situation for sure.
Yeah, and that revelation, of course, made the build really obvious. You know, he saw the Hydra Den, he saw that the Hydra Den was researching muscular augments, you know, no attempt to go for maybe something like Lurker or anything along those lines. And like you said, this has got to be a build that Artosis is familiar with. It's a pretty popular one. Storm is, when landed properly, a rather effective way of ripping through Hydras and Banelings.
Well, a little bit of a skirmish around the 4th base of Artosis. 2 sentries were very close to being called out of position, but 2 nice force shields being placed will save them temporarily, but those force shields will run out. Prism trying to come in and save them, but not in time.
Good effort from Artosis to try and evacuate that, but it was a little bit too late, and these Lings are being a little bit of a pain, no doubt. Immediately morphing straight through to Archons here. I think perhaps, I mean, would you call that a bit of a panic morph there from Artosis just because he was being pressured? Would he have preferred to keep those as Templar, bearing in mind he's building Storm? Yeah,
he definitely would have preferred to keep those for Templar, trying to gather some of that energy. He panicked, didn't know how many Lings there were. I think it was kind of a natural response there from Artosis.
Sure.
We do see double Prism on the map, which is kind of difficult to play. So you really need very good multitask to be able to do that. And
oh dear, that is a small army kind of out in the middle of nowhere with no ability to evacuate. And the Archon's backed into a corner with the Hydralisks bringing the pain. That Protoss army will melt. In come a few Banelings just to finish the job. Down everything of Artosis goes. In the meantime, though, we do have that Warp Prism Harass, which is punishing a poor defenseless extractor at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how useful that's going to be for Artosis. Nice that you got the extractor and 4 drones, but you're about to die, so... Yeah,
which is a disadvantage in a game of StarCraft. To the best of my knowledge, yeah, I'm not a professional. In come the Lings. Those pylons will not hold the line, I'm afraid, against firepower of that magnitude. And down goes the power, an all familiar story for our BlizzCon champion.
Yeah, and this is going to be a very, very rough defense. He might be able to hold on with a couple of warp hits, but there are so many Lings still alive. Final Archon going down into the natural as well. And GG being called here by Artosis as YoGo takes game number 1 in our winners match.
Indeed, and kind of surprising considering we had a really solid start for Artosis. Everything's going well. Excellent harassment, excellent scouting. I'm going to sneeze, and now I'm not. There we go. Wonderful. That's been done. That is something that you got to hear live on air. Anyway, everything seemed to be going well, and then that fateful move out with a too small an army into a vulnerable position. YoGo pounces on it, and that is that.
Yeah, it's sad to see for sure. He didn't really have any information on the whereabouts of YoGo, his army, and he with the double prism, he wants to play a kind of base trade-ish style, not complete full base trade, but he really wants to, a big multitasking style. You want to pull YoGo apart, and your main army can be a big help with that, trying to clear creep, maybe sniping the forward base while the prism goes into the main or into the natural. But sadly, it didn't work out for Artosis, and just straight out lost the game.
Yeah. And that can happen. That's StarCraft for you, ladies and gentlemen. Do not put your vulnerable army in the middle of the map where it can be surrounded and crushed. Something to avoid. It's unfortunate because that double prism idea from Artosis could have reaped some dividends. Unfortunately, it was like about 30 seconds too late. Oh well, it is a best of 3. And of course, he does have the lower bracket if needed. So we'll be seeing plenty more of Artosis in this tournament, whether you like it or not. Spawning to the southeast position in the orange trunks here on Abyssal Reef. Currently down 1 game in this best of 3 series. It is Artosis versus his opponent to the northwest position, representing the country of France, and O Gaming, currently at 1 game in this best of 3, looking to go through to the playoffs in a clean and decisive fashion. It's YoGo.
Yeah, and Abyssal Reef, a very different kind of map than Ascension to Ire. This is one of the more unique maps that we have, actually. Ascension, a more standard map, but Abyssal plays out very different from all other maps because there are those rocks in the natural base. You have this kind of weird structure of your fort, which can be attacked from the low ground. So there's lots of little tricks which can be used by more experienced players. And I'm afraid for Artosis that he does know the meta very well, and he of course he knows the maps very well, but YoGo, I feel like YoGo plays a lot more than Artosis does at this moment. Artosis is a guy that knows a lot about the theory, but YoGo really does get a lot of practice in. So I'm a little bit afraid for Artosis in this game, that he might die to one of these tricks.
Those are just the cards he has been dealt. We will see how he's able to make it work. As you said, it was a really good start. The kind of thing that someone who is a master of StarCraft theory would be able to execute. But that kind of thing can easily fall apart if you're not careful. He was playing sort of a knife edge, really, and unfortunately he slipped and cut himself. Here we go. We are going to start off with an adept here from Artosis. Few lings on the way up from YoGo. Both playing pretty safe openers right here.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing the same Overlord speed opening once again from YoGo, as he is still mining from that gas, just now pulling out. And you see it queued up on the main base hatchery, delaying his 3rd hatchery once again for this. So his economy isn't going to be that great, but he probably is thinking by himself, all right, last game, the start wasn't that great for me. I built a couple of links that really didn't do anything. I got the Overlord speed, which was nice, but I still lost 2 Overlords as well to the 1 Phoenix. So if I'm capable of winning in this kind of game, then I think it's fine for me to just play it safe, solid, make sure that I don't die to anything stupid like DTs, and I'm going to be fine.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing that if you are in the position in a competitive game where you believe you are the better player, it's often best to play in that style, to play in a safer style, because you're pretty confident that when push comes to shove, when a fight happens, your superior macro-micro is going to win the day for you. But it can sometimes just be a little bit too safe, and the opponent can do something nasty and greedy, and that can give them the upper hand.
Yeah, for sure. And we see Artosis basically actually exactly doing the same build as last game, going for the single Oracle into the Phoenix, triple gateways, 4 adept from the initial gateway, and going into that double gas before the 3rd Nexus. So exact copy of game 1, because YoGo also is doing the same build. I'm curious if we're going to see another attempt at the link drop like he tried to do in game number 1, which of course got shut down by the Artosis' Phoenix flying around spotting for Overlords.
Yep.
Let's see what this Oracle is is going to achieve here on this side of the map.
Well, finds itself a drone. Doesn't go for the lava because, of course, eggs have lots and lots of armor. That's not something you really want to do. It's a big waste of energy. But picking off lava is not always the worst of ideas. There's another drone taken out. And, of course, he's getting valuable scouting information in the process. Even though he's not murdering 20 drones, he is getting info. He does miss the baneling nest at the back there for YoGo. Nicely tucked away.
Yeah, that's not spot. I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue for now. YoGo did get the probe that was trying to build the third, I believe. So Artosis' third is going to be a little bit more delayed. See, he has a lot of minerals in the bank right now. Should really be guarding that probe a little bit better. Here's the mothership core with the 3 adept. Should be able to secure that third base. And we actually do see a dropper lord on the left side of the map right now. And there's a couple of links there. I wonder if he's going to try to turn these into bane links, or if he's just happy dropping 8 links. It seems like it's going to be links. Oh, does his Phoenix miss it?
Oh, Phoenix just missed it barely. That was really unfortunate for Artosis. And that is going to go completely unscouted. And that could do some pretty serious damage. There's a pylon being built there, but where is that mothership core? In the wrong place. It's currently defending the third base. Potentially disastrous. But the Phoenix is wheeling around. It misses again, unfortunately. It's going in the wrong direction. This could definitely be a little bit messy, but YoGo's holding back just a little bit here.
Yeah, I think YoGo will decide to drop it into the secret little edge of the base of the Protoss. It's almost always a dark spot for the Protoss because you do need a pylon there to be able to spot it. He just barely misses with the robot. That's a great location for YoGo to drop if he does want to drop there. In the meantime, we do see the Hydra then coming out. +1 for melee already finished for YoGo here. So very similar game to the last game, I would say. Prism coming out once again for Artosis as well as the Templar Archives. This time a little bit earlier. And I hope he won't morph the initial 4 High Templar to Archons like he did last game.
Yeah, that unfortunately did end up being something of a problem for him. If he had Storm in that engagement, it would have gone a lot better, assuming that he'd landed them properly. But it's like you said, he had no idea what was coming at him, so he immediately morphed those over. And Storm hadn't quite finished at that point, so those Templars were otherwise pretty much useless. He needed something to be able to fight back what he thought was an attack. He unfortunately kind of played himself there.
Yeah. Definitely. So yeah, this time around won't be turning those. Oh, he does. Just as I say, he isn't. He's turning them into Archons. So that's a move we don't see very often. Trying to take his forward base. This game is so similar to the last game, actually. Ooh. Once again, losing the sentry to the little Ling run by. This time the Archons are there a bit earlier, so he is able to secure his turn in a way quicker fashion. Prism trying to do some damage into the natural. Don't think it will be able to do too much.
Oh, finally we have the drop. A couple of minutes later, they are just stuffing right into the main base. And Artosis has absolutely no idea at this point that there are 8 speedlings just hanging around the corner. And they're going to hit that mineral line. They're going to hit it hard. Great reaction from Artosis, though. Immediately pulls the probes, warping in a couple of zealots in the process, knowing that this is not a thing that he wants. But is this a distraction? You can see that the Zerg army is moving around, but this time, Revelation landed on it. So Artosis is completely aware of what's coming at him.
Yeah, and there's a Prism moving into the main base right now. 6, 7, 8.
Huge warping! Oh, but half of them got cancelled. The Prism got shut down and Banelings cleaned up the rest. That was a hugely expensive investment.
Yeah, luckily you do get the money back, but he doesn't really seem to have any units at home. He was kind of hoping to get that Warping in, force YoGo to go back home, but right now, what does he really have to fight this army? He does have 4 Storms ready. Only 2 actually. 2 of the High Templar don't have Storm yet. He's down 40 supply. Will he be able to hold here?
Oh, it's going to be pretty brutal, and I don't like the positioning at all. That's a lot of Banelings, and Zealots really don't like that. Oh, the army just crumples in a matter of seconds here, and Pylons will not be enough to stop the impending demise of the Protoss race, as commanded by Artosis. Okay, GG, he says. Just a slight hint of seasoning on the top of that. A little bit of salt. Just a
little bit of salt. A little bit of salt. Yeah, that was a rough series for Artosis for sure. The setup was good every time, but just not enough units, not the position that he wants to be in, and it's going to be a rather hard fight. When you're down 40 supply, you have 2 prisms, which can't really warp in on the other side of the map. So, yeah, rough series for sure.
Yeah, that definitely, it kind of has to suck to lose to the same thing twice, knowing exactly that your opponent is doing it. That's a little bit rough. That's got to sting. But he's not out of the tournament yet, of course. He falls to the lower bracket, and he will be facing the winner of our next match. But congratulations to YoGo, who sweeps through the group with the greatest of ease, and yet another Frenchman makes their way to the playoffs. Hashtag conspiracy. We'll be right back after the break, folks. This is the Esports Earnings Caster Invitational. Don't go anywhere. There is plenty more StarCraft of some description coming your way.